Am I wrong for refusing to host Thanksgiving because my family keeps using my house as a free hotel? Thanksgiving is just around the corner, and I feel like I'm on my breaking point. For the past 5 years, I've hosted at my house, and it's gone from being something I genuinely love to something I absolutely dread. The main issue isn't the cooking or cleaning, it's how my family treats my home like a free hotel. They don't just come for the meal, they show up days early and act like they're on vacation. My brother brings his kids, who immediately take over the living room with toys, snacks, and whatever mess they can make. My sister doesn't lift a finger, claiming she's just here to relax. And my mom spends the entire time critiquing everything I do. She even made me iron the tablecloth last year, saying it was embarrassing for the family to eat on wrinkles. Last year was the final straw. My brother's kids raided the fridge the morning after Thanksgiving, finishing off the leftover pie I was saving to share with my in-laws that weekend. No one helped clean up after dinner. My husband and I spent 2 hours washing dishes while everyone else lounged in the living room drinking wine. When I complained later, my sister rolled her eyes and said, "Well, you're the one who wanted to host." This year, I decided I wasn't going to do it. Back in September, I told everyone I needed a break and suggested we rotate hosting duties or go out to a restaurant. My mom said I was being selfish and that my house is the most comfortable. My sister flat out refused, saying her apartment is too small, and my brother said he's too busy to host because of his work schedule. Since then, they've been constantly pressuring me to change my mind. My mom even said, "You're ruining Thanksgiving for everyone," and my brother promised to help more this year, though I've heard that before. Now with only a day to go, no one has stepped up to host, and the family group chat is passive-aggressive mess. My mom keeps implying that Thanksgiving may not happen at all if I don't agree to host, which makes me feel terrible. One hand, I feel like it's unfair for them to expect me to carry the burden year after year, especially when they treat me and my home with so little respect. On the other hand, the idea of Thanksgiving falling apart because of me is making me second guess myself. Part of me wonders if I should just suck it up and host to keep the peace, but another part of me feels like I deserve a break too. Am I wrong for standing my ground and refusing to host this year? One thing about me is I hate having guests over. I have a lot of little siblings running around. There's a lot going on in our house. There's just too many people already within my family in this house that we live in. I hate having a guest here. It stresses me out. I cannot imagine having my brother, my sister, my brother's kids, my mom, so-and-so, just lounging, come for a dinner. But why the hell are you coming 3-4 days before? Do you think this is a hotel? Is this a vacation? I would just say no. OP needs to stand up for herself. OP needs to say no and stand on her grounds. Just celebrate Thanksgiving with your husband or with your own kids. Clearly, your other family members are ungrateful, selfish brats. Am I wrong for repeating what my brother-in-law said about my sons and getting him uninvited from Thanksgiving? Trigger warning, essay. 35 male here. I'm a husband and father of a 5-year-old identical twin boys. Our boys are adorable and sweet, but are definitely high energy and keep us on our toes. My wife is pregnant with our third and last child, and we recently found out we're having a girl. My wife is an incredible mom, but she had a hard childhood. Her father abused her and eventually went to prison for it. My wife isn't estranged from her mom, but she's not particularly close with her either. My wife cares a lot that our children are safe and happy after the childhood she endured. She absolutely adores our sons and has never once seen them as anything other than her sweet babies. You guys, to be honest, I didn't read the story yet, so I'm I don't know what's about to come up, My older sister, 38 female, has 2 daughters and is married to a dude named Sean. I love my sister, but her husband can be a jerk and often makes rude comments without thinking about their impact. My wife doesn't like to talk about her abuse, but my family knows what happened, since it's a huge part of her family's history, and her mom is pretty vocal about her ex-husband. My parents, sister, and brother have never expressed anything other than support for my wife and sadness that she had that experience. But Sean has made some odd comments. I never told my wife this, but before we got married, he said I was a good man for sticking with a girl with that much baggage. Oh, yikes. Anyways, last night we went to my sister's and Sean's house for dinner. My wife was in a great mood and was excited to share that we're having a little girl. My sister was thrilled and congratulated us. Sean said congratulations, but then mentioned he's relieved we're not having another boy. I asked what he meant, and Sean said the risk of a girl turning out the wrong way is much lower. Again, I asked him to clarify. He proceeded to ask my wife if she ever worried she would pass her family's sexual problems down to our kids. My wife was shook and horrified, and she said what her father did has nothing to do with our children. Sean said that the issue her father had are genetics. I don't necessarily think being a perv is a genetic thing, though. Do you guys think? And so statistically, we're more likely to have boys with the same problem. My wife asked how he could possibly look at our sweet, innocent boys and worry that they'll grow into monsters. Sean said that her father was a sweet, innocent boy once too, and he still abused her. My wife started sobbing, and I was in complete shock. My sister said that Sean was being insensitive, but maintained that he was technically right. She said they didn't think that our kids would turn out like their grandfather, but it's something to watch for, just in case. I wanted to punch Sean in that moment, but my wife begged me to just get the boys and go. My wife cried the whole drive home. I told my wife that our kids are not going to be like her father, and she said she knows, but it's hard to know if family members would judge innocent children because of something their grandfather did. My wife and I were talking about it more, and we realized that Sean has always been a bit weird towards our kids. He gets agitated when they're energetic and seems overprotective of his girls around them. For example, once the kids were all having a pillow fight, and one of my sons accidentally hit one of his female cousins in the eye. He apologized, cried because he hurt her, and gave her a big hug. My brother-in-law yelled at my son and said he was being aggressive toward his daughter. Everyone thought the reaction was overblown at the time since it was clearly an accident. But now, I wonder if he reacted that way because he expected my son to turn out the wrong way. I called my mother this morning and explained the entire conversation. My mom was horrified and agreed that what my brother-in-law said was insane and unacceptable. I told my mom that my wife is pregnant and doesn't need any additional stress. So, if my sister-in-law and brother-in-law are going to be at Thanksgiving, we'll be celebrating our sister-in-law. Does he mean his own sister and brother-in-law? That we will be celebrating on our own. My mom is very upset about what Sean said about her grandkids, and she agrees that he shouldn't be at Thanksgiving this year. I got a call from my sister an hour ago, and she's furious. She says her husband was just voicing a concern, especially since they have daughters, and we took it the wrong way. She also said that her daughters went to see their grandparents on Thanksgiving, and they're being punished for what their dad said. I said that my boys were being judged based on their genetic relationship to a man they never even met. My sister asked if I would call our mom and ask her to reconsider, and I said absolutely not. Am I the a-hole? I feel like this is why I always say if you can keep such like family big things like this a secret, you should just keep it a secret. Granted, you can't keep this secret because her father is actually in jail, so there's proof of what he did. But people are so mean and vile that you cannot even be vulnerable, that you cannot share your past experience, that you cannot share your horrible traumas, because at any given moment it's going to be thrown in your face. Whether it's them saying that you're going to turn out exactly like your parents, or your kids are going to do exactly what your parents or the person that abused you did, or whatever it is. Like, they always find a way for shaming you for what happened to you. And it's so annoying because when something traumatic happened to you, when somebody's reminding you about it over and over and over, it's less likely for you to get over it. And it's just more hurtful because if something causes you so much pain and somebody not only keeps reminding you of it, but then they're shaming you for it one way or the other, that's just too much. I feel so bad for OP. To get touched by your own father, to get abused by the person that's supposed to protect you the most in this world is so sad. And this brother-in-law seems like an a-hole. These are little boys. When they become teenagers, if they do things, yeah. But they're just innocent 5-year-old boys. Why would you think about children like that? Granted, everybody wasn't once innocent, but give them a chance too. What did they do?